When you purchase the Model 72 synthesizer system, you also get 7 modules to use within Softube Modular. Pair these modules together to create the ultimate mono synth, or use them with other modules within Softube Modular. You're only a few steps away from creating amazing sounding patches just like this bass patch, so let's jump in and get to know the modules that are included with the Model 72 synthesizer system. Our first module is a noise and glide module. Take the output from the noise module and run it to your main output. We could switch between white and pink noise, but we could obviously do much more. So let's run our output of our noise into an audio mixer and add a few more modules. Let's add an envelope and amplifier module. Let's take the gate from our MIDI to CV and run it into the gate of the envelope. We'll take the output of the envelope and run it into the control voltage of the amplifier, and then we'll run the output of our amplifier to our main output. Now we could take the audio mixer and run the output into the amplifier input, so that our signal goes from the noise to the audio mixer and our envelope controls the amplifier. We could set the release time here when the release button is up. When the switch is flipped off, the release time for the envelope will be set to 0 for an instant decay. We could set a long attack or a very short attack. By adjusting the sustain and decay, you could get really percussive sounds. For now, let's turn down the noise on the audio mixer. And now we'll add a tone generator and preamp module. Let's run the note from our MIDI to CV into the CV in on the tone generator. Let's run the output of the tone generator into the input on our preamp. And then the output of the preamp will run to the second input on the audio mixer. So input 1 becomes our noise, input 2 becomes the sound of the tone generator. Once again, we could adjust our decay and attack on the envelope. Our preamp is very important in terms of the sound quality it can impart. As we turn up our level, we could overload the signal to the preamp, getting additional drive. For now, let's bring the level back down and listen to some of our different waveforms. And of course, we could also adjust our range through different octaves. We could also tune our tone generator to different frequencies at the top. The FM jack on the tone generator could be super creative, so let's see how we could use a sine oscillator and use it to create some vibrato. The pitch will determine the speed of the vibrato or frequency modulation, and the level will determine how wide of an interval it is. By adjusting the pitch on the sine oscillator and the level on the tone generator, you could go from completely wild sounds to a mild vibrato. Now instead of inputting our note from the MIDI to CV into the tone generator, we could put it directly into our glide, and then take the output of the glide and go into the tone generator. Now listen as we adjust the time on our glide. Glide will give you complete control over your portamento. Now let's add one of the most exciting modules, which is the filter. Let's route the amplifier output to the filter input, and then we'll take the output of the filter and route it to our main output. In order to explore the filter, we're going to turn down input 2 on the audio mixer, which is the tone generator, and turn up input 1, which is our noise. Using white noise, listen as I adjust the cutoff. And as I add the resonance, listen as we hear the musical sound of the cutoff open up. And if you bring the resonance really far up, you start to hear a pitch. And listen as I do the same thing with pink noise, which has a different quality and in many ways is more musical. Let's turn down the noise and bring the tone generator back in on the mixer. At this point, I'm going to take a second note output on the MIDI to CV and run it into the tracking input on the filter. Tracking essentially determines how much of the high frequency gets filtered. Listen as I arpeggiate with tracking all the way on, and then listen as tracking is turned off. Now let's look at something really special, which is the doubling module. Let's take the output of the filter and run it into the doubling module. And now we can take the left and right outs from the doubling module and run into our main outputs. Our doubling module makes it sound like there's more than one Model 72 playing at once. And as I turn up the spread, we could adjust the stereo width of this module. So those are our 7 modules, but don't stop there because we just created the most basic sound that we can with Model 72. Start experimenting with all the different combinations of modules that you could use. Just by adding 2 additional tone generators and detuning them, we get a totally different sound on the patch that we were making. And once you've mastered each of these modules, combine them with other modules within Softube Modular. Listen to how amazing this patch becomes, especially as we make Model 72 modules polyphonic for the first time, using our quadraphonic MIDI to CV. Softube Modular is an ecosystem with endless possibilities. And with the addition of the 7 Model 72 modules, you get the ability to push your analog sound quality even further than ever before.